Fuck me, this is like my third time doing this recording, but it's so noisy outside, I'm just gonna brute force my way through. Anyway, I heard you wanted to play Core Licht. You want to join up in this game, but you don't really know how to speak or read Chinese/Taiwanese/ whichever language you prefer. You're still waiting for the global release, or maybe you just want to know a little bit about this game, get into the hype train, you know, before it gets popular. So I'm here to talk about it. Alright, let's go in a clockwise selection. Let's just jump right into it. Man, I made this whole joke about like how I'll do this in completely Taiwanese, saying like 大家好，我是杨子的杨子的杨子，欢迎回到核心利希特。今天我们要概括的就是初级手的。I could go there, yes, but it's not that useful since there's already guides on Bilibili and some other sites on how you can approach a beginner's guide for Core Licht in Taiwanese/Chinese, but /Mandarin. But you don't really have one for the English-speaking audience, so I'm making one right now. Let's go down this order in a clockwise formation that I'm tapping right now. This over here is your personal information. You can use this. You can use this to communicate with your friends, for example. You can also use this to show the units that you have available for borrowing in your friends list. This over here is the ID. You can simply copy this and paste it on Discord or Facebook or somewhere that you want to communicate with your friend to add me in the friends list, for example. Yeah, basically this down here is the number of operators you've got. This is the highest story stage you've cleared to, blah blah blah. Fairly straightforward and standard stuff. If you've seen Arc Knights, you've seen it all, more or less. This one here is your currency. You need the currency for a couple of things. You can use it for this, for example. You can use it to level your units. As I explained before, which you probably will never hear, when you use these tickets, they do not cost what's that called? They do not cost gold until the moment they change this number. So if I change from 91 to 92, for example, if I increase her level and thus increase the base stats over here, then the gold cost will come into factor. Otherwise, I'm just, you know, investing 6 of these into Volunteer over here. She's not really she's not really eating up gold, which is a nice system, I suppose. You can invest your tickets into the units you want to raise preemptively, so you don't mix up and forget which units you want to raise. It's up to you on how you want to innovate it. This over here is link points. Link points are mainly used for pulling units. You can't really see an example right now because I still have tickets remaining. I still have some of these tickets remaining, so you can't really, you know, expand any of these crystals for pulling, but that's fine. You'll come around to that eventually. This one's over here is for crystals. This one's for link points. Link points are for linking with other operators, other units, I suppose. This one's for crystals. Crystals are used for a variety of things. The first one would normally be trading for energy. You press this cross at the bottom right over here. You can convert 120 to 128. What's that called? What's the word I'm looking for? The pricing for this crystal increases proportionally. So the first exchange you do will cost 30 crystals. The second exchange you do will cost 60, the third will cost 120, the fourth will cost 180, and the fifth will cost 240. However, the amount that you receive over here will always be the value of your maximum energy down here. So don't get too high on it. You can ration out the rate which you expend these crystals, if you so choose to use the crystals for leveling up and not for pulling operators. That's your business. I have no control over you. I cannot control you. This over here, the one that I'm clicking on right now, these two that you're seeing right now, these are events tabs. Basically, any active events that are currently ongoing right now. For example, this one here, it says here there are 6 days, 9 hours and 43 minutes remaining. This is a, how do I say this? This is a abbreviated events tab for you to quickly access the event stages inside of this game. Nothing too special, nothing too unique, but you know, it's good to know. Yanhua over here is meant to represent a theater or theater board, I suppose, if that's an translation, basically it's a place where you can rack up resources for both the short and the long term. Over here, the one that we're currently on is called 日常, which is daily requirements. It's more or less how do I say this? It's more or less a to-do list for the day, for the week, and for the general gameplay in order to provide you with rewards. The rewards for daily are the ones stated up here in these 5. When you clear 20, you get some greens. When you clear 40, you get some money. When you clear 60, you get some purples. When you clear 80, you get this particular type of purple. I'll explain that later. When you get 100, you get about 60 of these crystals. So if you're spending 30 a day in order to rack up the amount of if you're spending 30 a day to ration out your crystal growth, you can technically exchange it once a day and you won't have any demerits in your crystal expenditure. It's good for newer players, I suppose, but this game, I'll explain a little bit more later on. This down here that I'm clicking on is weekly, so basically where there's a daily requirement of completing these objectives, there's also a weekly requirement where completing these objectives will also increase the amount of 演化深度 that you are doing, which is basically the theater progress. This up here is for main stories and tasks and general objectives that your account should aim for in the long term. For example, this one over here is for having 8 operators that are at least level 90, at least. Having 5 operators that have a skill level 5. I only have 4 of them. Having 5 of these having 5 of these Yaston forms that are above 100, that are above level 100. I only have 3 of them, and so on. There's a lot of different things to keep note of. When the global release comes out, well, if the global release comes out, all of these will be a lot more readable. And I think they'll need to do a sort of scrolling implement because English is not as optimized as Chinese, Mandarin, Taiwanese, whatever you call that. This over here would be theater level. As you can notice, my theater level is currently 27, so I'm able to collect all of the rewards from 1 upwards to 27. Every 10 you expect a major reward, like this one for example, the what's it called? Energy serum injection. Then as you keep clearing, you get more and more rewards. You can spend money, actual money, not in-game money or anything like that. You see over here, yeah, you can spend actual money in order to acquire these things, but that's unusual. Why is it under US dollars? Usually it shows new Taiwan dollar here. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, you can spend real money in order to what's that called? In order to collect both the top rewards, which is for all players, as well as the bottom rewards, which is a sort of improvement of sorts. Up to you on whether you want to spend for this game or not. I'll explain a little bit more regarding the progression of the game. 编队 over here is for squads, so you have 4 different squads. My first squad here is 招妹, which is sort of a joke squad. My second one is for speed, where I clear as fast as humanly possible. It's all of these aggressive, fast-moving units that push into enemy territory as fast as I can. You can see this one's a rather heavy lineup of specialists over here. You've got Suna, you've got Isanto, you've got Hei Liang over here. You've also got Bunika. A lot of aggressive strategies, and I have a Bolonsia over here because Bolonsia is a great defensive unit. You put her next to your tower, she starts attacking the units that are coming towards your objective. She's a good defensive unit to have in that sense. Yeah, basically you can designate your team this way. Of course, I'm not saying that these are templates. These are just how do I say this? These are just teams that you can construct on your own, and you can freely rename these teams. For example, I'm going to change my squad number 4 to全集全杀，全集全杀，Death by Fist. Okay. Anyway, that's something that you can consider. You can assemble your squads very quickly. You can also set up pre-squads. For example, if you are performing a video as a YouTube content creator, you can preemptively use this button, 快速编队, to quickly select which units you want to assemble for your squad. For example, I want, let's say I want some Vanguards here. I want a medic. There we go, a medic. And so on. You can basically assemble your squad very quickly. You can even assemble them based on factions. For example, if I wanted to assemble them by this mercenaries faction, I can unselect one of my units and select all 6 of these, and I can use this team for example, what's that called? For bossing, for example, during the faction battles. I'll explain that a little bit more later. Going down the list, we also have this one over here. You see how I'm sliding it left and right? These are event tabs, basically. It tells you how far you've come along in the story. So it's a sort of quick jump button that allows you to get into something quickly. For example, I'm currently recording when PvP is active, and I'm wasting precious time when I could be fighting and clearing PvP stages, but it's for the sake of explaining and researching, so that's not a very big problem right now. The other button over here says 特别篇章敌友. This leads me towards the newer chapters over here. 特别篇章敌友. The reason why I jumped back to chapter 6 earlier was because this is still chapter 6, wait. There you go. The reason why I jumped back to chapter 6 earlier was because I was busy, trying and experimenting with a couple of stages over there. But yeah, you can basically see how this goes. You can click on this button here, 作战, which is to enter into this selection screen, where you can choose from 4 different tabs. The first tab is for main story, so it's for the main story. So this will be one of your most important tabs to come to and come back to, because this is where you grind out the important materials for your promotion. For example, you need some devices, you need some of these circuit boards, 机体电路. As an example, if you wish to promote an operator, you can grind out these. And the good thing about this particular mode is that, the good thing about Core Licht, at least I think would appeal to a lot of people, is that your progression is proportionally tied to the amount of energy you spend. So the more energy you spend, well, how do I say this? These drops that I mentioned earlier, they are all guaranteed, and your auto deploy is saved the moment you manage to clear it. So it's a very clean and clear-cut process. There's not much thinking, not much brain power that needs to go into this. It mirrors that of Arknights very well in that it copies every deployment, every deployment and stage clearing that you've ever done to a impeccable degree. Fairly good. The second one over here is 这个探索. This is mainly for newer players to experiment with and play with the tutorial. Basically, there are 2 of these at the moment. It's likely that there will be more in the future. It says here over here, deployment. It teaches newer players how to perform deployments, and this one over here teaches you how to perform redeployments. Let's go through a stage together, so you have a better understanding. They give you a preset squad of units to use for this particular battle, so there's no rush on that. They will instruct you step by step on how to clear this stage, on what to watch out for, and so on. It says over here, 战场最佳部署了解离小心它范围为上. Alright, so if you drag your unit here, you can see her range is greatly increased for this. The moment that the attack comes, you can relocate your unit this way and relocate her again. It's basically a sort of a ping pong match, if you will. It's quite fun when you grasp the nature of this particular game, but yeah. Watch out for the radius that the boss is attacking with, the turret is attacking with, and cleverly move your units out of place. You can also reset using this button over here. Well, maybe not this unit, maybe this unit instead. Keeping your units apart would be more important for this particular stage. It teaches you the mechanics of redeployment, of moving your units. Of course, it does it in a way that's more game-like, but this is an actual mechanic in a stage that you clear normally, whether it's for here, here, or here. Any battle stage will require that sort of redeployment. It's just that this particular, this particular tutorial, if you will, helps you to develop the sort of sense for clearing them. These are resources for improvement, for character improvement. For one, this one over here, it says here chain exam, which is mainly for acquiring these green colored, blue colored, and purple colored tickets. These tickets are mostly used for increasing the levels of your units, as I've demonstrated earlier. Very straightforward. This one over here is delegation, which is basically income. Income. Not that kind of income. Anyway, as you may guess, this is also a resource, except income over here. Currency is used for a little bit more than just leveling your units. It can also be used, for example, in purchasing. What's that called? It can, for example, be used for purchasing some resources in the no, that's not the resource you use to purchase it, is it? No, I don't think you can use that currency to purchase any of these resources. I think that gold is exclusively meant for leveling your units. Yes, the currency is exclusively meant for leveling units. That's fine. You can exchange other resources for cash, for this upgrading cash, but you can't convert this cash into upgrading resources. Something to keep in mind if you're going that route. Let me explain a little bit more about these two. How do I say this? These two structures over here. The first stages will almost always have almost always have a fairly easy requirement, but they have a poor energy to resource ratio. This one expends 20 for 4 and 6. Let's move on to the next one. You can see how it improves. This one expends 24 for 5 and 8. Already you're seeing a market improvement just by introducing 4 extra. You have a very small benefit over here. The benefit increases as you go over here, where you spend 28 for 2, 4, and 6. So instead of 5 and 8, you get 2, 4, and 6, which is a big jump actually, since I think a purple is able to outvalue a blue to a significant degree. Then after that, these newer stages also have increased rates. Earlier I had 5 and 8, now I have 2, 4, 6, now I have 2, 6, 8 for 32 energy. And for this stage in particular, you treat 36 for 2, 8, and 10. It's a, how do I say this? You spend 4 extra energy in order to gain, let me just calculate again, 6 and 8. So you spend 4 extra energy for 2 blues and 2 greens. Not too bad when you consider the rate that you had earlier. This is the best efficiency stage. It's also the hardest because you need an average level of 110 or a recommended level of 110. It can be cleared earlier, but you need very specific strategies. We'll talk a bit more about the strategies and clearing the stages later. But basically, you want to prioritize the max level as much as possible. Spending 40 energy allows you to get 2, 10, and 12. When you consider this, when you compare this to the earliest version where you spend 20 for 4 and 6, if you did this stage twice, you will get 8 of this and 12 of this. So already you can see that this particular stage gives you an extra 2 purples and 2 blues. It is always worth it to clear the harder versions if you can and when you can clear them. It's also recommended for you to go with a strategy that allows you to safely maintain the auto-deploy function. If, for example, balance patches hit and your units are, how do I say this, are adjusted on their stats stealthily, then you won't be able to clear that stage again. You'll miss out on quite a lot. And it's because of that scenario I just mentioned that you may end up wanting to raise and strengthen your unit as much as possible. But I'll talk about how to strengthen your units after I'm done introducing these aspects here. We're getting to it anyway. These over here, as you can see, the escort missions grant you 3 different chips based on the day that is currently in session. Today would be Monday, which means the Monday, Thursday as well as Sunday stage of snipers are open for me. Tomorrow will be the tomorrow escort missions will give me arts chips, and on Wednesday and Saturday escort missions will give me support chips, not bad at all. Same for this one, the recapture stages will give me guard chips on Monday and Thursday, as well as Monday and Thursday. It will give me Vanguard chips on Tuesday and Friday. It will give me specialist chips on Wednesday and Saturday. Similarly for construct over here, it will give me defender stages for Monday, Thursday, medic stages, medic chips for Tuesday and Friday, as well as tactics chips for Wednesday and Saturday. As for Sunday, all 9 stages are open, so if you want to grind chips, you really should do so on Sunday, and then any other chips that you happen to miss or miscalculate, you can grind out on the other days. Dedicate your Sunday to chip grinding, if and where possible. That's all I'll say. That is all I'll say. I can't tell you if it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I can't tell you whether you should prioritize on the chips more than others. I won't say much of that because the amount of energy you spend is proportional to your progress. So the more how do I say this? The more materials you have stockpiled in your inventory, the worse you are performing in a sense. You want to expand and empty your inventory as much as possible if you're a new player. That would represent a situation where you're using your energy efficiently, where you have no wastage. You are clearing as much as possible, you're strengthening as much as you can, you're clearing through the stories at a reliable pace and so on. Yeah, this last part over here would be 4 different EX stages. These parts will unlock over the course of chapter 4 in the main story. So don't feel bad that you can't clear these out early on. Over here, the top left over here is for this 引力计划, which is basically a roguelike mode of sorts. There are a couple of set stages. You get a couple of buffs for going through these stages. Oh no. Okay. You get a couple of buffs going through these stages. You'll be able to clear all of these, and at the very end, you'll be rewarded with chips like this one. Chips like these, which grant you rewards inside of them. I'm not going to spend any energy for this. It's not worth it. Anyway, yeah, you can basically farm up these chips that will open with time. You can only stockpile a maximum of 3 at any given time, so I recommend you do this particular stage every 2 to 3 days, depending on the type of chips and the degree of the strength that your roster has. It is greatly encouraged to do so because these boxes themselves contain a lot of materials for you to use, and you don't spend sanity at all. Your only limitation is that you only can store 3 of these boxes at any given time, so make sure to clear them occasionally. Not every day. I won't ask you to do it religiously like some I don't know, nut, like some crazy fucking cultist or something, but something to keep in mind. Top right over here, 菩提心呀. This is basically a couple of stages that you can use to grind out these materials. These materials are what you would call skill materials, where earlier I mentioned that the story stages have a bunch of materials used for your operators to promote their levels and their breakthroughs. The ones that I just mentioned over here are for skills. So each operator has their own skill and so on. I'll show you later. And clearing these stages not only allows you to unlock those skills, it also allows you to unlock this part here, known as expeditions. And expeditions are an important thing because they represent free resources that you can just collect. This is for the really extreme really extreme scenario of you not being able to participate in any of the, what's that called? This is for the really extreme scenario where you can't participate in playing the game for an extended period of time, and these resources will save your ass. So you really want to, what's that called? You really want to do it regularly, and they only come, what's that called? They only come once every 22 hours or so, unless you use units that allow you to shorten the time. As you can see over here, my Poisson over here has 4 slots, whereas my Sigourney and Sairu over here, these two regions here only have 3 slots. I'm planning on clearing more of these stages in order to unlock more slots. As you can see over here, it says here, 地区金额收集达到20解锁. It only unlocks when you have 20 of these 27 unlocked. Basically, you need to get 20 of these crystals. I only have 18 of these here, and I managed to get I only have 18 of those above, and I managed to get 2 during this POA 3 stage. Whereas for these other stages, I only ever managed to get 1. I just don't have the sort of burst units to deal sufficient amounts of damage in time, and I don't have the sustainability to clear it under the time frame, the time limit as anticipated. It wants me to clear it under 90. I can't even clear it under 60. I cleared it with 40 something seconds remaining. My team isn't that strong to the degree where I can clear it reliably. Something to keep note. 西想经济, this is the PvP. I want to do this because it only ever opens from 7 to 9 every evening, and as I'm saying this, as I'm spending time explaining to you, the newcomer, what to do during this, I am wasting valuable PvP time that I'll have to make up in the future or something, which is kind of painful for me, but hey, it's for new players, why not? Okay, last one, bottom right over here. It's for bossing. Basically, these bosses grant you a couple of bonuses that you can then spend inside of a shop afterwards, after clearing these stages. When you beat this boss to a specific degree, a specific level, you'll be able to gain these chips that you can then exchange inside of the store. Let me just show you. There's a shop button right up here that allows you to quickly access this store and decide on which material or materials you wish to trade for. Something to keep in mind, basically. I don't remember which... Ow, my bone. I don't remember which one I cleared. Was it you? Yes, I cleared you, and I got A. I didn't make it to S rank yet, but yeah. Basically, you can see how it works over here. I managed to clear to 8. I managed to get the rewards as mentioned at this right arrow here. A rank will give me 500 of these and 80 of these link points. I am satisfied with this outcome. Not very picky on my part. This one's for 战斗压力测试, which means there's a timer for you to deal as much damage as possible. This one is a 效能测试, which is an efficiency battle. Basically, this one will not have a time limit for you, but there will be a timer that goes upwards, that counts upwards instead of counting down to 0. So the amount of time you take to clear these bosses that I can't show because there's none to show right now, but the amount of time you take to clear these bosses will affect how much resource, how much benefits, how much resource, how much currency, and how much tickets you get, how many tickets you get at the very end. This button here, 成就, means is meant to illustrate your achievements and so on. As you can see over here, for the whale boss, I've managed to clear upwards to 3,000. For the... where is it? For the elephant boss, I also managed to clear upwards to 3,400. And it's only for the... what's that called? It's only for the factory boss that I've yet to clear up to 3,400 and get these two for myself. But yeah, there's rewards for both the time limit base as well as the... what's that called? The speedrun base. This is more of a speedrun mode. This is more of a time limit mode. Time attack mode. whatever you call that. Whatever you call that. Anyway. Right, moving along with the clockwise direction, I'm going to introduce you to what is perhaps the most powerful unit in this game. Yaston. Yaston over here, or Tong, or apparently according to a friend, her name is Hitomi. Nobody told me that her name was Hitomi. I don't understand anymore. Whatever. Yaston over here is an interesting unit in that you are... What's the word I'm looking for? You're able to use her in a variety of different situations depending on the outfit that you have equipped for her. Well, I call it outfit, but it's more like form. You know how in Kamen Rider, for example, you have like different gadgets that you can insert and so on. This is a close equivalent, if you will. Yaston over here right now has 7 different forms. I've only unlocked 5 of them. But yeah, she's able to manifest a sword for a guard archetype. She's able to manifest a cannon for a sniper archetype, or a gunboat archetype, whichever you prefer. She's able to manifest a shield for the defender archetype, a whatever this thing is for an arts caster archetype, and at the moment, at least for me, she has a guitar for a Vanguard archetype. And yeah, that's basically who Yaston is. You can, as it is with others, you can invest some of these resources to leveling these units. You might be looking at this right now and going, oh my god, it's so cheap, it's like 880, this game is easy. No, it's not. Yaston's the only one who gets to save on cost this way, since these upgrades don't mean that much to her, 1, and 2, she has multiple forms, so they have to be cheap. If they were expensive, no one would use Yaston, and that's bad because she's a super unit that's available for every stage for you to use, basically. Other forms of Yaston I have yet to unlock are the medic form, which has this defensive, how do I say this, defensive drone that probably fires out healing ampules, as well as this dagger form for a specialist form. A specialist form that allows her to deal instant damage to the units that drop in and attack aggressively. You can see what she looks like from the top over here. You can even tap her icon to see how she'll animate. It's kind of cute. It's adorable. I love it. Oh, right, sorry, I missed out on the skill animation. It looks like this. She does this overhead swing that basically shoots the, how do I say, that basically slams the giant sword onto anything in front of her, reminiscent of exactly how her skill works. It says over here she'll perform an overhead swing and hit into an area that's 5.5 times 3.5 in front of her. Yeah, basically you get all the details here. I'll explain a little bit more later again. But yeah, you can preview some of these characters over here if you like. This is her using her skill, I think. This is her regularly attacking, and this is her activating her skill to shoot out a whole smatter of bullets consistently. This is her shield form. She's kind of cute with the shield. I can barely see her face, and she takes this cute large stride. I'm fanboying over Yaston for some weird reason. She's not even that fancy, honestly. But yeah, you see how her skill allows her to move forward at an aggressive pace, smack into the other enemies and taunt them to attack her. This is her arts form. She floats, very cute. This is her attacking with her pew pew on her fingers. This is her attacking with the other finger, and this is her summoning. Yeah, this is her summoning the heavens lightning to smack into a region and like attack anything in there. Blue power, basically. This is the guitar form. Very cute, very powerful, extremely powerful with a specific section I'll talk about later on. It uses a sword for some reason instead of the guitar. It breaks my heart a little bit. But she should have a performance animation. She doesn't have a performance animation. Okay then. Her skill was supposed to perform a sort of what's that called? A sort of DDR, not really, DDR rhythm game of sorts, where there's a golden ring and no, there's a blue colored ring and a pulsating gold ring that radiates out from the center, and you're supposed to time when the you're supposed to time when to tap a specific prompt in order to have the golden ring overlap with the blue ring as much as possible. A poor result will give you only 1 DP, good results give you 2, great results give you 3, perfect will refund 4 DP and give you 15 energy. So you can use this more. So yeah, it's a very powerful skill. You more or less understand how she works at this point. Over here, 2 port, which is for breaking through, for breakthroughs basically. There are requirements for you to break through Yaston that have to be met. The first requirement, the requirement for breakthrough 3 in this case was having 3 units at level 90. No, was having 3 of these forms at level 90, as well as having 6 units at level 90. 6 units being the units I'll show you later. These are potentials for each of her forms, and this is the part that really hurts for Yaston, because you have a separate, how do I say this? You have a separate potential core for each form. That is expensive. My wallet is not that deep. I cannot cash for that. Anyway, moving along, I'm going to tap on the, not Yaston's thigh. I'm not a pervert, excuse me. I'm going to tap on this, the Tigati, which is to show you the units that I have. Basically, these are the units in my possession. You can use this top button over here to sort out the units you want to look at. You can use this button to sort out units based on their, what's that called? Based on their level. The one over here is for level. Basically, the highest level will show up here, and the lowest level at the bottom right of the entire roster, as you can see. You can also sort it according to rarity count. Basically, you can tap it once to show highest to lowest, lowest to highest, fairly straightforward. You can also use this to show acquisition rate, when you acquired this unit, what time you acquired this unit, and so on. Nope. None of them really fit the interest of Shana over here. Nope. Nothing. There's no chip for her. I've been lied to again. Sadness. There's a prompt over here which alerts you and tells you that you can use these particular chips. There's a slot for this particular chip, for example. I am going to just equip one of these. Yes, just do it. Oh, it got replaced. Whatever. I'll just equip some. Oh no, I'll just equip something. Whatever. Just wear something for now. Wear something so you don't feel so naked. Okay. I have to start explaining these operators, what they can do, and how it's important to think about how you build your operators. Building your operators in this game comes down to a very simple rule. You want to keep your operators at a multiple of 5 at all times. Let me explain. Suppose I switch to one of these units. One of these units I've yet to level. When you want to strengthen this unit, it's always at a level. It's always at a multiple of 5 that it will stop at. And when you want to break through something, it's also a multiple of 5. When you want to level your skill, increase it to the next level, it's also a multiple of 5. When you want to use these flash cards, basically these chips that can strengthen your units, it's also a multiple of 5. The first one is free, yes, but the second one needs level 30. The third one needs level 90. This one's the important one, because once you get the third one, that means once you raise your unit to level 90, you unlock the full potential of the flashcard system. I'll explain a little bit more about the flashcard system later. Right now, I just want you to know that you basically want to keep your unit at a multiple of 5 if and where possible. I'm going to raise her to level 100 soon, but I don't quite have the resources for it, as you can see, unfortunately. No cash and no tickets to level with. Not only that, let me just try and run through this page. for your easy, not her. I'll run through this page for your ease of understanding, I guess. Maybe someone who's less animated. There we go, someone who's less animated. This over here, 属性, shows you characteristics. Basically, this is the HP bar, this is the amount of attack you have, this is the amount of defense you have, this is the amount of arts resistance you have. For a unit like her who has a sort of a specialist role where you basically drop her and then she disappears after a few seconds, these two statuses don't really matter. 费用, that's cost, how much DP you need to expend in order to put her. 再部署, redeployment redeployment cooldown, how long it takes for her to be able to redeploy again. 目标, target, which enemies does she attack, ground, air, or a mixture. 伤害, the type of damage that she's able to apply, that would be physical in this case. However, for some units, such as where are you? No, you. Such as this unit, she will be dealing arts damage, and it's quite important to note these intricacies because they will come in handy in the future. Just not at the moment. Not quite at the moment. Anyway, let me continue with the explanation. That's basically it. Of course, some of these units have different traits. As you can see over here, she has a couple of extra ones. The reason why I used where is she? The reason why I used Ishanto first was because she was a specialist unit. She doesn't really move or attack or act outside of what I want her to do. So she doesn't really have a need to run around the field or move about on the stage, which is why she doesn't have those statistics. The same applies for Tianyi, although she has a couple more extra statuses. Over here it says 召唤间隔离, minimum amount of time between each summon, how long you can stay on the field for, what you target with your abilities, and what you summon. For example, in this case, you summon tiny little machines. These drones that you see floating around you, around her. These are the things she summons in order to attack the enemy. Depending on each the operator that you select may have such traits. Of course, the two that I mentioned over there are the ones with more unique makeup. This is for the more general makeup. Aside from the same first 6, you also have attack speed. In her case, it's null because she doesn't attack. But for her case, it's slow because she's this particular archetype. This attack speed part will come into relevance later on when you are, for example, building your team and so on. It's good to keep these things in mind, especially when you are deciding on what chips, what flashcards you want to keep on your units and so on. Let me go back to that. Nope. There we go. We go back to Hirora as an example. It describes the attack speed, the movement speed, the targeting, the type of movement that they have. For Hirora over here, she performs a ground movement. Basically, she walks on the land. But sometimes you have sometimes you have units that are flying type, like her Bison, for example. The Bison over here is able to fly over enemy units. So if your enemy, for example, is unable to attack what's that called? Aerial. If I can find it, there we go. If your enemy is only able to attack ground units and not aerial units, then Hirora is a perfectly safe option to deploy against those units. This is especially relevant in the context of PvP, where some enemies tend to spam, this guy, but he only ever attacks ground. Which means if I put her Bison, a level 46 her Bison, against a level 90 guard like him, he will lose because he can't attack the aerial units. They'll just slowly chip his HP down until there's nothing left. It's a very powerful defensive play sort of thing. It's good to keep in mind, basically. Aside from that, this describes the range of an attack. For a unit like her Bison, it's fairly close range, which is why it's 1.5. For her, she's even more close range. She doesn't have the sort of a range to deal with at all. But for some units like Panna over here, she has a range of 6, and some units such as snipers tend to have a range of 7 and above. One of the units I've known, the one that's commonly used in PvP, tends to have a range that feels like 7, but also that says 7 but feels like it's further than 7. I'm not gonna comment on whether that's true or not. I leave that up to you. Anyway, this is for strengthening the units, same as Yaston. This one's for breakthroughs, same as Yaston. This one's for potentials, same as Yaston. This is their skill, and for some units, you are able to click on this icon here to see how exactly they will act. On a stage. For her, for Vanguard Girl, or as they call her, Owl over here is able to gain a sort of immunity where you see how this unit falls back down to sleep without paying attention to her, because when she uses her skill, she literally disappears and sort of resets the aggro towards her. This is especially good if you have for example, a defender coming in. As an example, walking down here, then she disappears. The enemy here will stop targeting Owl and target the defender instead. Fairly powerful skill for survivability. So this is one approach you can take. Of course, this preview thing is fairly important when you consider that there are some units that you are better off not using. One example would be her. Notice how Haijia over here is healing her. Hirora over here is dealing 31 damage to the enemy. The moment her skill activates, she does 23. That is a reduction of 8 damage, aka 25% damage reduction. Not good. If you're using this on a defender that doesn't deal damage, this particular debuff is perfectly fine. But if you're using this to heal offensive units, the offensive unit getting a 25% damage penalty is a seriously heavy blow to what's it called, the damage they can output in a fight. This could make or break your existence. Basically, it is dangerous. It is dangerous. Do not use her. It helps for you to preview some of these skills if and where they become available for previewing. Sometimes you don't get a preview and you have to guess or read some of these words very carefully, because I know someone's going to forget that this 治疗期间目标造成的伤害降低25%. Someone's going to forget this one line over here and think, oh, enemies deal 25% less damage to you. No, you deal 25% less damage to enemies. They're going to have a very bad day. Anyway, chips. Right. To discuss the context of chips, I'll just come over here. This over here is your... did I ever explain this? This is your inventory, basically. It lists and describes all of the items you have in reserve. This allows you to sort through the items that you want to or are looking for. This one's gifting, which is meant to increase the affection meter with your operators. This one's for EE, which is for ego and increasing potentials. This one's for promotion. This one's a tab for promotion materials, whether it be for promoting skills like this material, or for promoting breakthroughs like this material and this material, and at times even for even for devices such as this, which allow you to convert that particular triangle into one of these 8 chips. And I'll go through all of these right now. Okay, I should sort these based on... no, here. I guess I should sort these based on this metric. Yeah, let's stick with this one. No, that's too colorful. Let's try the yellow ones. There we go. There are 8 of these particular chip types that you can consider. that can factor into play whenever you are clearing stages in this game. I will be going through these chips and what they do, as well as telling you what how you can use these chips in your team building. This is one of the more complex parts of this game, so I recommend you pay attention for the next few minutes because this is difficult. Okay. You generally have 8 different types of chips that you can wear. The first one, you generally have 8 different types of chips you can wear, and I shall demonstrate using this one. Okay, all 8 of these have their own purposes. They have an effect that activates. All 8 of these chips basically have their own stats that they grant to the unit. As an example, let me select this one for example. You notice how this one says it increases the attacks of guards by 50%, increases the arts resistance, and unlock this part when you upgrade this by 3 levels, unlock this when upgraded by 6 levels, unlock when upgraded by 9, by 12, by 15. So you can technically strengthen these chips by consuming either these resources, this what's that called, navigation needle, or you can literally consume some of these chips over here for levels. As you can see over here, you can forcefully consume those chips for levels, or you can consume it on that. You can also sort the rarity that you are planning on consuming. You are just planning to eat these blue colored ones, no one's going to say too much about you. Something to keep in mind would be that. Alright, each of these chips have their own individual bonuses, but each of these chips also have collective bonuses. So if you're able to assemble 2 of these chips on a unit, you'll be able to acquire a 2 set bonus. And if you assemble all 3 of these chips, if you assemble 3 types of this chip on a single operator or a single 第个体, you will be able to gain both the second and the third third set bonus. Each of these have their own set bonuses, which are important to take into account when you are building your team. Kind of a painful explanation for a beginner, but this is important because this is basically free power, free damage. It represents an ability for you to efficiently use your energy without expending too much. If you're planning on speedrunning this game, this is the part for you. If you're not planning on speedrunning this game, this part is also for you. Okay. Over here we have game time. It's able to refund 6 energy every 5 seconds. So this is a sort of skill that you want for units that you wish to trigger the skill for actively. So as an example, let us say I have a unit like you, 千亿. Your skill, whenever you trigger your skill over here, well, you charge at a rate of 10 energy per second, and after 10 seconds you'll be able to release 3 of these machines that you're looking at right now. 3 of these machines to attack the enemy. That's basically what you do. But if you are using this chip that I mentioned earlier, if you're using game time, this chip that I mentioned earlier, you'll not only be able to recover 6 of these points every 5 seconds, which means if you're able to keep her on the field for about 15 seconds, you'll be able to speed up the amount of drones she can produce while she's on the field. That's one example, of course. And the second one over here, it's once you deploy her, you gain 60 energy, and any excess energy will be stored and kept. So this is especially useful for some units that you want to trigger the skills of very actively. One example of this would be Vanguards. Let me bring them up. There we go. Our over here has a skill that gives you what's that called? That gives you 3 DP when you activate the skill. And in Ao's case, as you've seen earlier, she's able to gain immunity. She's able to gain invincibility when her skill triggers. So not only do you want her skill to trigger often, you also want her skill to trigger You also want the skill to trigger immediately because you want to gain DP for deployments, for example. So Ao would benefit the most from game time, which is this particular chip I have equipped on her. That's one example of how you can build your team. This is the first of the 8 chips, so I'll just run through briefly a little bit on what the others do. Second one over here, Ning Guang is mainly to increase attack power. The 2 set bonus will increase attack power by 30 points. 3 set bonus increases attack power by 12%. This is especially good for units that are very reliant on attack power. Units that can use Ning Guang to a fairly decent degree are low rarity units. These units that don't necessarily have a lot of buffs going on because their base stats aren't that powerful or remarkable. So you can opt for using this particular 毁灭者, which also increases your attack power by 30%, or you can swap it out for Ni Guang, which is what I just demonstrated earlier. Next up on the list we have this one, which is 无下童年, what's it called? Memorable childhood. 2 pieces of these flashcards will give you 20% defense, and 3 pieces of this flashcard will increase your max HP by 15%. This can be very useful for units that require defense, but this can also be, for example, some of your units that might suffer a little bit can consider putting those flashcards to increase their defenses. Your defense is only 167, you're very fragile, so equipping that chip will give you a bit more defense to do that. But you also have units that can benefit from this extremely, such as this defender class over here. There is one particular unit that is able to convert your defensive power into damage because their skill scales off of their defense. As an example over here, this unit as well benefits from defense. Basically, you can put her down and she'll once she uses her skill, she'll scale off of her defense. So 256% of her defense over here, 306 will effectively be dealt as damage to the target she's attacking. This particular unit, if I'm not mistaken, is a... Nope, not you. Nope. I can't find that unit. No, that's fine. Some of these units basically have traits and bonuses to them that you want to pay attention to, especially for the defenders. And in the first place, since this particular chip increases defense, it really is a good choice to put on defenders. Just saying. This is a 下区生存法则. What's that called? A survival guide for the underworld, I suppose. This one allows you to recover energy every 5 seconds as well, similar to game time over here. Game time allows you to recover 6 energy every 5 seconds. This one also allows you to recover 6 energy every 5 seconds. But the important difference between 下区生存法则 and game time over here. Well, survival guide and game time over here have a distinct difference in that game time increases the amount of DP that you have, but this one, survival guide, increases your attack speed by 15%. Now, naturally, you might not think of it as a very big deal or a very big difference, but one way to apply the survival guide effectively is on units like Sun. The reason why I want to use it on Sun is not only because that her attack speed is medium, but also because that she benefits from more attacks. Her skill only charges when she attacks. Every attack she makes charges it by 20 energy. So if you're able to keep her if you're able to use the chip effectively, you'll be able to stockpile a little bit of energy and speed up her ability to use her skill. So not only do you increase her damage, you also increase her likelihood of using the skill. Another unit that you can consider to use that chip on would be Alulu, for example, who has a very fast attack speed. So every attack speed that she applies, making her attack speed even faster means that she's able to charge this that much faster. Just that little bit faster, but that little bit may be all that counts, because that's literally the only equipment that your operators are able to apply and use. This one over here, killing instinct. It's a chip that's intended to increase your damage as well. It increases the attack power by 30% when you have 2 of these flashcards. 3 of these flashcards would help you to deal 40 true damage for every normal attack that you apply, which is why this was the chip on Alulu earlier. Her very fast attack speed plus the 40% true damage that she applies every normal attack makes this a very powerful chip to keep on her to increase and amplify the amount of damage that she deals, especially because her only trait is her attack speed and not really that much on her attack power or her penetration ability. So this is very powerful, very useful on her. 毁灭者, this is the destroyer, the terminator, whichever you prefer. This increases your attack power by 30% when you have 2 of these flashcards. When you have 3 of these flashcards, 释放技能时获得 12% 伤害加成 12% 的伤害减免持续10秒. This is a duelist sort of chip. The 3 set effect allows you to deal 12% more damage, as well as having a 12%, how do I say this, damage resist. So you take 88% damage from your enemies. This is a very powerful chip on units that are expected to attack and defend at the same time. Example would be Shumeng Butter over here. I know I put 下区生存法则 over here because I wanted him to attack faster. He has a fast attack speed and his skill benefits of attacking as well, but you can consider putting毁灭者 on him if you expect him to fight and duel a lot of enemies. Another unit that's expected to fight and duel a lot of enemies would be let me find him. You know what? Might as well do it this way. Yes, Draper. Draper is one example that you can consider. She's reliant on 毁灭者 because Draper as a unit is intended to specifically target structures. So that's the only thing she exists for. It's like you put her down, she only has one goal. She has one goal and one goal in mind: to hit the structure as hard as possible. So that sort of buff helps her tremendously, especially when you consider that the damage reduction that is granted to her by the chip helps her to survive just that little bit longer to deal that much more damage to the structure. So yes, this is a chip that's meant for units you expect to deal some damage without dying off too quickly. Very powerful chip to have. This one over here is interesting. It's Hold On Elise. So what it does is that when you have 2 of these flashcards, you gain 300 HP. 300 HP, as you may guess, is quite a lot, especially when you consider that when you consider Ao has 4,200 because she's supposed to be a defensive unit, but then you have a unit like her, where 300 HP is already like a 1/7 of her health. That's a big increase. That is 1/7 increase. That's like 14-15% increase depending on the unit you're using on. Might even be more. In my case, I used this particular chip on on Tianyi, which is the supporter unit that I have, because I wanted her to have more health. That way she can survive a little longer and make more drones. And not only that, when you have the third chip, when you have the third flash card, when you have a set of 3 for this, you will be able to gain this sort of automatic HP healing for 5 seconds when your HP is 40 and below. This is especially useful because it helps you keep your unit alive for that much longer. This this 3 chips effect is especially prominent and viable on Valencia over here. especially because when you consider that she has a she has a Phoenix effect. So after she's been down, she'll take 8 seconds to charge, and then she'll come back with 100% of her health. So in a sense, you can let her attack the enemy. You can put her on the field to attack the enemies. Let it drain to 40%. The HP recovers a little. HP recovers because of this particular chip. She'll have to attack again until it fully drains to 0. She'll take 8 seconds to come back at 100% health, and if you are not facing a lot of resistance on her, she can technically continue the attack until about 10% of the HP. Then the 60-second cooldown would have been over, and it activates again. It's a fairly constructed process. You can see how Bolons here, as a unit who constantly loses HP, would benefit from this particular type of chip tremendously. Along with Qian Yi, of course, but yeah, something for you to keep in mind. Finally, we have Tao Feng over here, which is Knife Edge. When you have 2 of these flashcards, your deployment time reduces by 2 seconds. When you have 3 of these flashcards, within 5 seconds of a deployment, 2% of a max HP and 5% of both of your defense and resistance converts into attack power. So this is especially good for units you expect to drop quickly and die off quickly, because once your unit dies off, it will begin the countdown. You begin the countdown very, very quickly. So it's especially useful for, as you may expect, specialists, where their whole purpose is literally to come into the battlefield for 2 to 3 seconds, apply their effect, and then leave. The moment they leave, this particular chip will activate, and it would have already started profiting because they would come back 2 seconds earlier. Very useful, very powerful, but depends on the individual use as well. I will cover pooling later. This is the shop. As you can guess, the first few up here, this is for spending cash. Tells you a little bit about what you can get for spending cash. This is a sort of a reward for spending cash. Still spending though, you're still spending. This is the immediate reward you have for spending on this monthly reward card, and even says up here that the monthly reward card has a refund rate of 1200%. So if you buy this, you are getting 12-fold the value for what you're spending here in that sense. So the total amount of stuff you get from this is worth $60, but you're only paying $4.99, or so they say. But you know, economics, they get to set the price, they get to decide what X and Y and Z is supposed to be. I won't lean too heavy or too hard on that. You can spend actual money. I'm not sure why they're displaying it in US dollars here, but you can spend actual money in order to purchase these things. But yeah, these were new Taiwan dollar before. I don't know why they are sort to this one now. And the last two down here, this one as well as this one, these are more for every player. Basically, there'll be these resources that you collect and stock up on during your course, during your tenure at playing this game. You can use these resources to exchange some of these materials. Some. I won't say all of them. You can exchange it for some. This one is for red colored. This one's a red colored Ego module. This one's for green colored Ego fragments. This one's for This one's for the roguelike mode. This over here is for PvP. You more or less get it. This is for the faction boss fighting. I'll go back to the faction boss a little bit. Actually, I have to explain the factions a little bit. No, I don't. I can explain the factions over here. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That's the shop. This is our base. As you may expect, as you may anticipate, this is the base where you may arrange your materials, arrange your stuff to gather resources at a steady rate. These resources will then be used to further war efforts later on, of course. But yeah, you can see how this basically has a couple of stuff here that you can think of and build. This over here is a tier 6, this over here is a tier 5. These purple ones are tier 4. This is a tier 3. These cuboid looking machines with arms are tier 2. And finally, you have something that's tier 1, which is this one that I'm looking at. No, wait. You have something at tier 1, which is this thing that I'm looking at the bottom left corner over here. So yeah, there are 6 tiers of these equipment, and each of them can help you generate circles or triangles. Triangle makers only make triangles. Triangle makers, true to their name, only make triangles. But circle makers expand triangles in order to generate circles. That's something for you to keep in mind if you are planning on building a base. Other things to keep in mind while building a base would be having friends. Checking out what your friends do in their own dormitories and using that as a basis, as a sort of, how do I say this? As a sort of base agenda to understand how you should approach base building. For example, do not do as I have shown, and don't raise any of your machinery to level 6 immediately. In fact, the more efficient method is actually to keep a bunch of these tier 3 and tier 4 machinery inside of your dormitory, especially because this particular device at both tier 3 and tier 4 do not take up much space, and so they can be stacked very freely. Whereas this device over here, imagine having 3 of these at the exact same size stacked here, here, and here. It's very cluttered, very cumbersome, and you don't get a lot of space to maneuver and navigate with, which is a problem. So you want to keep your all of them average at a specific level that optimizes both the amount of space and the amount of resource that you're generating. The chip that I was dragging earlier, this thing over here, allows you to instantly complete one of these for a small resource boost. Pretty straightforward there. These are your dormitories. Dormitories are for operators to rest. You can also use this vacuum thing to clean up the base, to clean up your friends' bases. Up to you. I won't judge how you use the vacuum cleaner. Just don't put it on your dick, and we'll be happy. Okay. This is a trade center. You can exchange some of these circles in order to get materials. For example, let's say I trade once. Right now, it's eating my circles in order to give me 3,400 of these golds and this. But I already have 82 of this, so it's not really worth the trade. Just something to keep in mind if you're planning on going that far. This here is the command center. It basically describes all 4 of the things that I've shown you earlier, and this is where I'll show you the faction buffs for the boss stages later. This button down here at the bottom left over here describes the conditions you need to fulfill in order for you to upgrade a particular room. This room, for example, is the command center, the central room. It requires you to clear X5-3 in order for you to level it up from 10 to 11, and the materials needed to make this transition is 78,000 of these. I currently only have 64,000. I'm currently stockpiling and saving up my triangles for that, which is why you see all of these exclamation marks on my base that I have left neglected for a little bit too long. But yeah, that's the general rule of thumb going forward. Anyway, this command center does much more than that, much more than being able to level your units. This over here allows you to quickly navigate to one of 4 regions, the first one being the trade center that you saw earlier, second one being a messaging, a messaging system, which basically lets you keep track of the friends that visited your base and how you can visit them back in order to, for example, power level your friendship with them. This over here is an interesting part. Let's start with the very bottom one. The very bottom one allows you to keep mementos. So basically, let's suppose I want to change the arrangement of my board. I'm going to click on this bottom right button in order to swap between these pages and understand which and where I'm going to which artifact I'm planning on showing. As you can see over here, the one that I'm currently holding in my thumb that I'm moving and jiggling around, that's 植入金环产片. This is the crystal bracelet, the crystal ring that was featured in chapter 5. Yes, you get to save memorable stuff from each story chapter, display them here. It's sort of a small thing, doesn't really, how do I say this, doesn't really change too much, but it gives a flavor, the flavor of being a lived-in environment, and I like that. This is a monster compendium, shows you all of the monsters that you have / will meet in the context of this game. I don't think I have, I don't think I have some of these have yet to be unlocked. That is a lot of monsters I've yet to face, and I am terrified of myself. But yeah, this is a monster compendium, very useful of course. You can use this to see what stats they have, and you can gauge what units you want to put in defense of / anticipation of the enemies that you expect to face. If you're planning on facing a lot of these flyers, you should not use arts damage dealers. Instead, you should focus on snipers. This is one way for you to measure this. Another thing is that there's a particular unit over here. Its attack power is very high, but its HP is very low, so it's recommended for you to take a defender to block it while something else attacks this. Or you can use a specialist to preemptively lower and destroy its HP bar before it becomes a significant threat later on. You can see a lot of these aspects over here of the creatures that you encounter in the course of this game. Very good for you to plan out, to plot out how you want to approach the stage or the stages, not just a singular stage, of course. Most of these allow you to not only see what stats they have, but also the model. If you happen to be one of those people who enjoy these models, you can peruse them at your own leisure. You know, if you like, if this guy is your king, then you're welcome to see him as long as you like. The one up here is for factions, and that's the part I like to talk about a little bit. This part over here allows you to increase your faction rating. Increase the faction bonuses that you receive when you are clearing bosses at this particular stage. This bottom right part here. This bottom right part here, you might see it says here recommended faction to use, recommended faction to use, recommended faction to use. Each of these have recommended faction and recommended classes to put on field, to deploy, and to use against the particular boss. It's a recommendation, of course. You don't have to follow it to the letter, but it's good to keep in mind. This is how your faction buffs come into play. Those faction buffs can end up being fairly game-changing, game-breaking, depending on your perspective. But it's good to keep in mind. And every week, you'll be able to purchase something from the shop I mentioned earlier. One of these randomized tickets that allow you to exchange it for example, this particular buff. For this buff, if I want to increase this from here to here, I will need 4 of these Council of the 13 tickets over here. You can only get 1 a week, so sometimes you might end up not getting the one you want for a very long time. I'm not even sure if you get duplicates if you happen to, for example, finish clearing this from 1 star all the way to 5 stars. If you've gotten 15 of these in a row somehow by magic or accident or something, I'm not sure if you can get duplicates after the 15. But yeah, the one faction I'm really looking forward to is this one over here. This one gives you more DP, lets you generate more DP faster, and it's able to convert DP to attack power. Given the very structure of the stages, you want attack power. Offense is the best defense in this game, and being preemptively hurting the enemies is almost always the better option, the better evil, instead of holding back, waiting for time to pass. This one on the far right is a crafting station. This crafting station is able to change and assemble these lower rarity items into higher rarity items that you need for promotions, for example. Very, very good system, of course. Very useful as well. After that, these are the notices. Basically, you can click on this and see what news they have available. Some of these, however, are links for you to jump to Facebook, for example. So don't just carelessly click everything. This exchange button allows you to set the operator of your choice in the primary room. So let's say I want to see Bolonsia over here, and I want to look at her and just her alone. I can click on this eye icon to hide everything else except for her. Fairly straightforward. Nothing too fancy. Yeah, you can freely and simply change whoever and however you wish. But unlike Arknights, you can't really, displace or move the operator. Not very helpful in that sense. The last one is this button here. This button has 8 different things, so I will just run through them briefly. This the bottom right button here brings you to news, bulletin board basically. The bottom button over here is for moving to Facebook or their Discord. The bottom left over here is a messaging system. Sometimes they'll give you rewards. As you can see over here, I get two raids and a couple of these things because of my accomplishments during the previous PvP. Not only that, this one, the one on the right, middle right, are settings. Basically, you can control, for example, how bright or how crisp the animations should look, the frame rate that this game should run on. There's also a redemption code over here they can key in after a, for example, live stream event. You'll be able to gain free additional rewards that way. These are your friends. The very middle button is for your friends. You're able to see which new friends are trying to join you. You're able to see fellows who borrowed your units. You're able to add new friends, and you're able to change the units that you have on display. That's basically the social part of the game, even if it's not by much. This over here is a sort of daily sign-in. You get these materials for free just by logging in. Recommended that you log in for all 31 days. Recommended. I won't force you, but it's recommended. Every noon and every evening you get extra 30 energy. I'm almost bursting for energy, but yeah, that's something to think about. Top left over here is for the It's for a quick access to this particular compendium. You can use this to quickly see which enemy that you plan on fighting next. You can plot out how you want to approach the stage, what level your unit should be raised to, whether it's just enough damage or if you need to invest a bit more resources to X and Y. Good for you to plan out and strategize. The one on the top right over here is for quick crafting. Very quick access to crafting, so it's fairly good. Up to you on whether or not you like to use this quick access button, or you like to do it the slow and easy way. I will not judge you. I cannot judge you. I do not have any right to judge you. Anyway, just gonna level this one up to skill level 2. That's fine. I've been planning on raising him anyway. The other thing with it is that although I've been talking about wanting to raise some of my weaker units, as you can see, Laman is currently breakthrough 3 already. I've been talking about wanting to raise Hati, Yaren, Panna, and Hebaisen, which is this Neko girl, this Wolf Boy, the Fang Boy, Panna over here, and these flying drones. I've been talking about wanting to raise them, but at the same time, I think it's more important for me to raise my stronger units first. The reason why is because, as I mentioned earlier, the auto-deploy has a chance of misfiring and being unable to clear the stage. So it is imperative for me to raise my stronger units so they can perform so they can clear the auto-deploy reliably should a patch note hit, for example, and the auto-deploy gets desynced. I want to have a team that's ready for clearing in that sense. So my goal, although it has been to increase the overall level of these 4 units I wanted to talk about earlier, I will now shift over to increasing the levels of my already strong units. Not only will this help me to clear the stages more reliably with auto-deploy, it also allows me to clear these story stages over here with auto-deploy. As you can see over here, none of these, not a single one of them, is available for auto-deploy because I have been borrowing friend units in order to clear these. So I don't think any of these have a, what's that called? Have an auto deploy. I'm talking shit. I have an auto deploy stage here. What? Oh, but that's not an important stage. That's for game time. Yes, that's for game time flashcards. Not an important stage. The stages I really want to clear are these ones that drop materials with a chance of dropping even better materials. These are the stages I want to be able to auto deploy on, and hopefully farm up a couple of these devices, these materials, for ease of use and access. That's my plan moving forward. This has been 没门就用窗口 your local Taiwanese speaking Taiwanese, whatever the fuck that means. And I'll see you and you new players sometime. If you want, you can add me on this game. My IGN is right here. Feel free to copy if you please. Just add me whenever you like. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good time in Core Licht. I'm sorry this introduction took like fucking 1 hour and 26 minutes. Good god. Okay. You've heard enough. You've seen enough. Okay. See you in the game or not. I don't know. Do you want to join me? I hope you join me. Please. I have no friends. Help me.